welcome to the second episode of our podcast in the office of Aggregates Europe UPG. My today's guest is Antonis Latouros, President of Aggregates Europe UPG. His career in the aggregates industry began in the early 1990s when he joined his father, Kostas Latouros, who was running then a small quarry. Fast forward to the present day, and the Latouros Group under the holding company MSC Latouros Investment Limited, which operates 3 aggregates quarries and 1 gypsum quarry, and construction and demolition waste recycling plant and a holistic chemical laboratory. Antonis is the managing director of the whole group since 1998. The Latouros Group is the largest quarrying group in Cyprus and one of the biggest independent players in Europe, selling around 2.5 million tons of aggregates and gypsum products produced each year and generating around 25 million euro in annual sales revenue. Antonis is the president of the Cyprus Aggregates Producers Association since 2013. In June 2021, he was elected as the president of Aggregates Europe UPG for a mandate of 3 years and has been nominated to be president for another 3 years. We are now in the office of Aggregates Europe UPG in Brussels, which is the studio of our podcast series. Aggregates Europe UPG represents the by far largest non-energy extractive industry with members in 26 European countries. The industry has 15,000 companies, mostly SMEs, operating 26,000 sites across Europe, producing around 3 billion tons of aggregates with a turnover of an estimated 30 billion euro. Welcome, Antonis. It's an honor to have you here as our guest today.
Thank you, Dirk, and thank you also for the introduction.
Now, first of all, and we have a couple of questions for you today. What inspired you to become president of Aggregates Europe UPG 3 years ago? And also, what drives you to continue for the next 3 years? Tell us about your mission.
Well, Dirk, 3 years ago, I was inspired to step into the role of president in order to leverage my decades of experience in the aggregates industry to foster a more unified and innovative European market. My primary drive was and remains, I can say, the advancement of sustainable practices and the integration of advanced technologies across our member countries. Over the next 3 years, my mission is to continue these efforts, further reducing our environmental footprint and enhancing industry standards. We aim to lead by example in sustainability while maintaining economic robustness, and I'm excited to spearhead these initiatives. During my speeches these 3 years at the several events and forums that I was participating, as well as during the several high-level meetings that we had, I always keep on saying, if there were no aggregates, there would be literally nothing around us, not even a shelter over our heads. This is a fact, and I will keep on saying it everywhere I will have the chance to, in order to make everybody understand that aggregates are essential for the comfortable lives that most of us enjoy today.
Very inspiring, and absolutely, it's an essential industry which cannot and should not be ignored. But when becoming president in the middle of the pandemic back in 2021, you committed yourself to visit all members of Aggregates Europe UPG. What is the most unexpected lesson you learned from these encounters when visiting members?
I can say one of the most unexpected lessons was the incredible resilience and adaptability of our members. Despite the logistical, and economic hurdles posed by the pandemic, many used this period as a catalyst for innovation. From accelerating digital transformation to enhancing remote operation capabilities, our members adapted swiftly. This resilience has not only sustained them through tough times, but also positioned them strongly for future challenges, underscoring the importance of flexible and innovation within our sector. Now, if you ask me to recall one single incident out of this experience, This is the Miro, our German colleagues forum, which took place in November 2021, which was actually the middle of COVID. There, we needed to be COVID tested every morning before entering the forum. Needless to tell you that everything worked perfect. Our industry proved its resilience, not only at core size, but also in organizing forums and conferences with no problems at all. In simple words, a resilient industry in all the aspects.
Yeah, I remember that very well. Berlin, every morning you didn't know whether you will be allowed to be in the conference or to end up 1 week in quarantine in your hotel room.
It was 2 weeks at that time, the quarantine. So
quite a risk to take. Now, a European association lives because of the support from its members. And several countries are not currently represented in UPG, which have a lower GDP per capita. How do you plan to solve that issue? What is your message also to colleagues in Poland, Latvia, and Lithuania, which are not members of Aggregates Europe?
Yeah, we visited all our members, and also we visited countries that are not members yet. And we discussed it many times, and you know that my goal is inclusivity and representation for all European countries in Aggregates Europe, UPG. We recognize that economic disparities can impact membership and participation. Moving forward, we aim to implement a new membership system that accommodates different economic realities, enabling lower GDP countries to join and benefit from our resources. To our colleagues in Poland, Latvia, Lithuania, and all the other countries that are not yet members or yet full members of Aggregate Europe UPG, my message is clear. Your participation is crucial. Together, we can forge paths towards innovations and sustainability that will be beneficial for all, both our industry but also humankind.
Excellent. And I understand also within the next 3 years, there will be also another business plan for your presidency, and where we probably learn a little bit more once this has been discussed. The industry is facing a lot of challenges, but one of the challenges is that they suffer lack of skilled and committed workers. Women are 50% of our society at least, but greatly underrepresented in the sector. Do you see ways to get more women working in the European aggregates industry?
Absolutely. Addressing gender disparity is not only a matter of equality, but also a strategic imperative for our industry sustainability and growth. We are actively working on initiatives to make our sector more appealing to women. Additionally, promoting STEM education and showcasing successful women, which we have a lot in our industry, can inspire more to join. By creating a more inclusive culture and addressing specific barriers that women face in our industry, we aim to not just attract but also retain more women in the aggregate sector. Personally, and you very well know that I already have my daughters working at leading positions in our group of companies. And when I say they are working, they are already dealing with many, many issues that in our mentality are issues that normally men should do, but they are doing them perfectly.
Absolutely agree on that. Now, to actually turn towards another big challenge, and at European level, we're talking about climate neutrality. Actually, we have a climate neutrality roadmap, but from your point of view and your experience as an entrepreneur, what is needed to ensure the industry is going to produce climate neutral aggregates in 2050?
I believe that we can manage it. But in order to achieve climate neutrality aggregates by 2050, our industry must embrace a multifaceted approach. This includes, of course, investing in renewable energy sources, investing in electrified machinery, optimizing production processes, and pioneering the development and use of low-carbon materials. Moreover, collaboration with governmental and regulatory bodies to ensure supportive policies and frameworks is essential. We also must continue to innovate in recycling of construction and demolition waste. And we very well know that recycled materials will never be enough, so we will always need primary aggregates. This steps, combined with a steadfast commitment to sustainability goals, will be pivotal in transitioning to a climate-neutral future. Of course, in order to succeed in this, huge investments will be needed. And this, of course, will lead to increase on the cost of construction. Therefore, if I may ask the convenient question, this will housing be affordable for everyone? What kind of social Europe do we want? Is a green Europe only for those who can afford it at the end of the day?
These are very good questions. Absolutely. What about the timeline, 2050? Are you optimistic that we are going to meet that deadline?
I believe our industry will meet it earlier. And this is also in our roadmap to climate neutrality, neutral aggregates, as we call it. We are going to achieve it earlier. It's a matter of when these electrified machineries will be available. But again, I want to repeat that huge investment will be needed in order all the quarries, all these more than 26,000 quarries, to replace their fleet with electrified machinery. It's huge investments, and it will take the replacement of the fleets will take time, of course.
It takes time, and also what you're saying, it does not entirely depend on our industry, but on all the stakeholders which supply the machines, which supply the energy, and here we could enter potentially in a big topic on energy costs and energy supply, raw materials, the whole range of topics.
Yeah, we have a very low footprint, 4.5 kilos per ton. Easily we can go to zero, but it doesn't depend entirely on us. We depend on others. When electrified machinery will be available, renewable energy will be available, and all the aspects around these mainly two issues.
Absolutely. This is also why Aggregates Europe UPG, and that's part of your activities, is reaching out to different stakeholders like the Chemie and Machinery Manufacturers Association.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, good. Antonis, you've been very precise and very fast in all the questions. We could actually spend more time, but we finished earlier. So thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for joining the second episode of our podcast. And we see very soon, by the end of the month, each of the end of the month, we will come up with a new episode for the podcast of Aggregates Europe UPG. But thank you very much, Antonis, for today.
This is a very good initiative. And as you very well know, we had our strategic meeting in January, 12th of January, with all the presidents, CEOs, and secretary generals of our members. And it was a 4-hour discussion, round table, brainstorming discussion, no agenda, but the outcome of that meeting was communication. So we need to invest, because it's an investment, on communication in order to change the perception of community and make everyone understand how essential our product is. As I already said during our discussion, I will repeat it once again. If there were no aggregates, there would be literally nothing around us, not even a shelter over our head.
And I understand that's probably a call to all the presidents of national associations. Save the date for January next year. The meeting will take place again.
Absolutely. Here. And I was, in fact, a couple of weeks ago, I was at Delphi Forum in Greece. It is actually the biggest economic forum after Davos in Europe. And there I participated in a discussion about raw materials. It was organized by our Greek members. And I was surprised to see the audience there when I said exactly this phrase. It was in Greek. I was surprised to see the faces of the audience, how they reacted when they listened to this. I mean, nobody can think, nobody can imagine that, yes, without aggregates, there would be literally nothing around us. So we have to keep on saying this at all the time and everywhere we can.
Yeah, it seems when talking to policymakers that they're first not aware, or secondly think that this is taken for granted. Supply is taken for granted.
Absolutely.
Big mistake to do.
This is our problem, and this is a perception we need to change.
Absolutely.
That aggregates are taken into granted.
Okay. Thank you once again.
Thank
and
you.
This podcast will be again reproduced or produced by the end of each month. Thank you very much.
Thank you.